Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. This channel is dedicated to news and gossip about celebrities worldwide. I would like to offer you a tip. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Secrets. You would assume there wouldn't be any secrets in a family that has spent more than 20 years living in front of the cameras. You would assume that every dispute, business transaction, happiness, and heartache had been made public. However, you can only see what the cameras want you to see. When the crew returns home, the real turmoil and stories usually begin. It takes place during tranquil times. Sometimes it takes place directly in the backyard, concealed in the darkness. Obvious. The rumors and whispers about a new project at Amy and Chris's house have been circulating within the LPBW community for weeks. A modest project, a hobby area, and a spot for Chris to unwind were all mentioned in passing on the broadcast. The official story is that. However, the official account is rarely the complete picture, as the Roloff family has repeatedly taught us. We now have evidence. They don't want you to watch this footage. We learned about it from an unnamed YouTube channel that surfaced overnight, shared just this single video, and then vanished. It was referred to as hacked drone footage. We refer to it as a bombshell. A bombshell that might reveal a covert scheme so bold and dangerous that it might seriously jeopardize Amy and Chris's financial and legal stability. A thorough examination of what is actually taking place on the site is what you are about to witness. This is not merely a summary. This is an inquiry. We've examined local county documents, spoken with unreliable sources, and put together a timetable that suggests a startling outcome. Disregard what you've seen on television. This is the true tale. It's also a tale of deceit, secrets, and a risky gamble that might cost them everything. According to the official narrative, this is only Chris's workshop. However, the evidence we have found points to something far more contentious. Under the gaze of the local authorities, is Chris Marek illegally constructing a tiny house on his property to rent out? Is Amy willing to? An unintentional pawn in her husband's dangerous game, or a partner in this scheme? You won't believe how shocking and convoluted the truth is. I need you to take action before we uncover the first layer of this scheme. There are many moving pieces and twists and turns in this story. Go ahead and hit the like button now to ensure that you stay tuned and receive all the updates on this evolving scenario. YouTube is informed that this type of in-depth study is necessary. Additionally, if you haven't already, hit the notification bell and sign up for LPBW updates. You won't want to miss a second of where this is headed, I promise. First, let's examine the public narrative that TLC and the Roloffs have created. A recent episode of Little People, Big World featured a short, nearly inconsequential sequence. Chris remarked during the interview, "Yeah, I'm thinking right over here. You know, just a little something. A workshop, a place to get away, store my tools, a man cave, you know," added Amy. On the program. "Oh, that's nice, honey. As long as it doesn't get too big," she says with a smile. Now, let's take another look at the leaked drone footage. This was obviously not shot by a professional crew, and it's shaky, unthreatening, and relatable. Notice the language. A little something, a man cave, a workshop. These are carefully chosen, non-threatening words that paint a picture of a harmless hobby project, something any husband might want. If this is just a workshop, why would someone feel the need to hack a drone and spy on it? Because, as our anonymous source claims, they suspected the official story was a lie from the start. Let's examine the structure itself. First, look at the foundation. A basic workshop or garden shed might be built on a simple foundation. For example, the operator is trying to get a clear shot without getting too close. Concrete slab or even just on skids, but this looks like a much more substantial foundation. Look at these pipes. Our analysis, which was confirmed by a construction expert we spoke with who asked not to be named, indicates that these are plumbing and sewer lines. A man cave doesn't need a full sewer hookup to store tools, and while it may have a utility sink, it looks like it's set up for a full bathroom, complete with a toilet, sink, and shower. Why would a basic workshop require a full bathroom? The answer is straightforward. It wouldn't, but a rental property or dwelling unit would definitely do. Now, let's examine the framing. The layout appears to divide different areas. This area is roughly 10 by 12 feet, Too small for a garage but ideal for a small bedroom or studio. The other section perfectly aligns with the plumbing we previously saw, and it is the designated bathroom. The remaining open space is well proportioned for a small kitchen and living area. This isn't the blueprint. We did the research, combed through the county's public records, and the most damning evidence of all was what we didn't find: the blueprint for a tiny home, or what the law refers to as an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU. And that's where the trouble begins. Amy and Chris live in Washington County, Oregon, which, like most counties, has very specific, very strict zoning laws and building codes. When we looked through the public permit database for any new construction, you might think that they may have gotten a permit for a shed, which sometimes doesn't require the same level of approval, but a structure of this size with a permanent foundation with electrical and plumbing hookups that requires a full set of permits. There is no way around it. The results were completely nothing. No permit for an ADU, no permit for a new residential structure, and not even a permit for a large workshop. Violation, and the consequences are severe. According to the county's own regulations, building without a permit can result in daily fines of hundreds to thousands of dollars for each day the structure is in violation. And that's not all. The county can issue a stop work order right away, and in the worst-case scenario, they can even order the unpermitted structure to be completely demolished at the owner's expense. Chris and Amy would not only lose their entire. The question is, why would they take such a huge risk? We're talking about a financial disaster that could easily reach 6 figures, but they would also have to pay for the demolition crew to come in and tear it down. This is where we need to understand Chris Marek, who is more than just Amy's husband. He is a career real estate agent who has been in the business for decades and is the most knowledgeable person when it comes to property law, zoning, and permits. Our first explosive theory, based on rumors from what we'll call an unconfirmed insider report, is the most straightforward and, in some ways, the most damning. There was a plan to build this tiny home entirely off the books, according to an unconfirmed report from a source allegedly close to the family. If he's building this without a permit, it's not an accident, it's a calculated decision. The main reason is far more profitable. The rental market in Portland, Oregon is booming, and a well-appointed tiny home in a quiet semi-rural setting like theirs could easily rent for $150 to $200 a night or even more. That's potentially $4,000 to $6,000 a month in tax-free under-the-table income. No paper trail. Inspectors. Why? To avoid property tax increases. For starters, a new legal dwelling unit would cause their property to be reassessed and their taxes would increase significantly. According to the source, the plan was straightforward. Construct the building under the pretense of a workshop, furnish it as a living area once it was finished, listed on rental websites like Airbnb or VBO, using deceptive language and pictures that don't show the main house to make it appear to be a standalone property, and then collect the money while telling the county and the tax collector that it was only a personal hobby shed. It's a daring plan, an illegal plan, and it depends on one thing: avoiding detection. However, who would expose it? This leads us to the psychological aspect of this story, and its connection to the ongoing Roloff family civil war. This theory states that the hacked drone footage is the first indication that their gamble is about to fail. Someone knows and they're not keeping quiet. But is it really that simple? Is this just about money? Or is there a deeper, more personal motivation at play? What's going on in Chris's backyard? To comprehend the shadow that looms over the entire Roloff family, Matt Roloff is a builder, a visionary, a man who is always creating, growing, and showcasing his projects. His big bill, the new dream home on the farm, has been a major plot point of the show for years. He built a castle, a western town, and even a so-called prepper bunker. Matt's identity is inextricably linked to what he builds on his property. To some viewers, Chris has been a supporting character for years. Our second theory, which we are calling the rival build theory, suggests that this project is about more than just a rental. It's about ego. It's about Chris finally making his own mark. He's seen Matt build and build and build. He's Amy's husband. He's the guy who moved in after the farm. He doesn't have the same legacy, the same connection to the land that has made the family famous that Amy has. This structure is Chris's version of a big build, his way of demonstrating that he, too, is a man who can create, a man who can provide, a man who can build something from the ground up, just like Matt. And if he does it secretly, illegally, it makes it even more his own. According to a source who says he worked on a project for the Roloffs in the past, Chris is tired of being in Matt's shadow. Matt has his kingdom, and Chris wanted his own little thief. It's Chris's secret kingdom rising just a few miles away from Matt's, a project that Matt has no control over and no say in. This would also explain Amy's possible complicity, as Amy has felt marginalized by Matt's projects and his control over the farm for years, and supporting Chris in his big build, even if it's risky, could be her way of finally escaping that dynamic. However, this psychological motivation does not exclude the financial one. The plot thickens because we have received another shocking, unverified report that suggests the structure's purpose is far darker and more paranoid than just a simple Airbnb. Two theories can coexist. Perhaps it's a project born of ego, but financed by a secret illegal rental scheme. Let's add another twist. What if the plan is more complex than just building illegally from the start? This leads us to our she-shed deception theory. The theory goes like this. Chris and Amy know they can't easily get a permit for an ADU or rental unit because the process is costly, time-consuming, and might be rejected. So, they engage in a clever bait and switch. Step 1. The permit. They go to the county, but not for an ADU. They file for a permit for a large high-end storage shed or even a hobby art studio. We received an anonymous email from someone claiming to be a neighbor, but we are unable to confirm their identity. Step 2 is the inspection. They build the basic framework of the building in accordance with the approved plans, and the inspector comes, signs off on the shed, and closes the permit to the county. The job is done, and the structure is legal. Step 3 is the secret conversion, where the deception takes place. After the inspector departs, the real work starts. Off camera, off the books. For Amy, the plans they submit would show no bathroom, no kitchen, just a large open room. This type of permit is much easier to get approved. They turn the legal shed into an illegal dwelling by covertly installing the plumbing and kitchen wiring and building the interior walls to create a bedroom and bathroom. This is a much more subtle and deliberate form of fraud, and it's also much more difficult to prove. If an official were to question them, they could just show the completed shed permit and say that any interior furnishings are only for their personal use. After all, who's to say you can't have a kitchen and a sofa in your art studio? In this case, the drone footage is even more damning because it captures them in the act. It shows plumbing rough-ins before the structure is finished, demonstrating that the intention to build a dwelling existed from the start before any possible final inspection of a basic shed could have occurred. The footage not only suggests a violation, but also demonstrates deliberate intent to defraud the county, elevating the crime from a simple zoning issue to something much more serious. We have one last theory to think about, but it's more serious. It's a conspiracy. It relates to Matt Roloff in the most surprising way and depicts a picture of paranoia rather than greed. Years ago, Matt Roloff was made fun of by his own family for constructing what he called a prepper command center on the farm. A concrete bunker built to withstand an unidentified disaster. At the time, it seemed like one of his eccentric foolishnesses, but in a world of growing uncertainty, perhaps he was getting. Our third and most explosive theory is that this building is not a rental unit at all, but rather Chris and Amy's version of a bug-out location, a prepper bunker 2.0. Let's take another look at the evidence, but this time from a different angle. The location, partially hidden by trees, is defensible. The substantial foundation is ideal for a reinforced structure. The building lacks large windows, even though there seem to be openings for. A self-sufficient bunker would undoubtedly need its own water, sanitation, and a way to hook up a generator for off-grid power. The plumbing and electrical systems are also relatively small, which is consistent with a security-focused design that minimizes points of entry. Consider the situation. The Roloff family is well-known and wealthy, so they could easily become targets in the event of a social or economic collapse. While Matt has his own fortress on the farm, Amy is in a sense exposed. This theory explains the secrecy. You don't advertise your secret bunker to the world. You don't get a public permit for it. Its strength lies in its anonymity. It also creates a fascinating psychological parallel. Matt built his bunker out of a sense of grandiosity and a desire to be the patriarch who saves everyone. Chris, the protector, may be building his own safe haven, a place he and Amy can retreat to if the world goes awry. It is the ultimate hideout. The evidence can be interpreted to support all three theories. A paranoid prepper bunker built in secret, a sophisticated she-shed deception to trick the county, or a greedy, illegal Airbnb scheme. The illegal nature of the build is part of the plan, and by keeping it off the books, it remains a ghost structure. Since no government agency has a record of it, it is an illegal structure. The hacked drone shows that Chris and Amy are involved in a project that is at best legally dubious and at worst blatantly illegal. Perhaps the truth is a combination of all of these. A structure intended as a bunker but rented out on Airbnb in the interim to cover its costs. A multipurpose illegal secret build, or what started as a simple backyard project has now turned into a ticking time bomb through the lens of this leaked footage and our unverified insider reports. Their secret is out. Chris Marek, the astute real estate professional, may have made the biggest mistake of his life. He may have thought he could keep this secret, but he underestimated the intense scrutiny. The video, which was posted by a now-defunct account, is making the rounds in the dark corners of the internet. How long before it ends up on the desk of a Washington County zoning enforcement officer? How long before a neighbor, emboldened by the anonymous leak, files an official complaint? That comes with living in the Roloff world, where there are no secrets and only stories waiting to be revealed. Amy and Chris may have set the stage for their own personal drama, which could result in financial ruin and public humiliation. Is their dream about to turn into a legal nightmare? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. The story is far from over, and we will be watching. The question is, what do you think is really going on? Going on in the backyard? Is it a prepper bunker, an illegal rental, or something else entirely? Share your theories in the comments section below, and make sure you have notifications enabled on your LPBW update subscription. We are keeping a close eye on this situation and will notify you of any new information, leaks, or official statements as soon as they are available. You won't want to miss our next